Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm going to get us started here in this conversation. I hope you guys are doing well today. And I also hope the notifications went out for us to have this discussion. I'm going to give you guys a second to come into the conversation as I shoot out a text message to let the family know, let everybody else know that we are live and we're doing the black thing this morning. Hey, Sheba and Doczilla and Green Go Lightly. My Instagram, by the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me at the Real Boyce Watkins. I'm sure I'm going to need some Instagram followers to make up for the ones I'm going to lose for the fact that I have not forgiven Oprah for her assault on Michael Jackson. I kind of think Oprah and Gail, kind of what they're doing in terms of doing the white man's dirty work, it hasn't sat well with me. Not because I am automatically convinced that nothing inappropriate ever happened, but because I just can't really fathom why you pay attention to what one group of people have done, but you have nothing to say about what another group of people have done, right? Now, again, if we're doing documentaries on Michael Jackson and Harvey Weinstein, or, R. Kelly and the pedophile rings in Hollywood, then that makes sense to me. But when you're ignoring, when white crimes go ignored and black crimes go get amplified, and you're putting the image of the black man all across the United States as the face of criminal behavior, that's very, very dangerous. That's how we used to get lynched. That's how Jews got, slaughtered in Nazi Germany. And so it's not a game. It's just so not a game. So yeah. So I probably lost a few Facebook friends this week, or in Instagram followers, because I just couldn't help but to say, like, what are you doing? Like, this is tacky. So if you want to follow me on the Instagram and replace all the people who have probably unfollowed me, or if you want to follow me on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, I'm at the Real Boyce Watkins, and on Facebook, I try to make sure I lose at least a few Facebook friends every week. That's how I'm reminded that I'm telling the truth and not just catering to what people want to hear. So anyway, let's get the party started then. So I just sent out a text message. Some of you may have gotten a text notification letting you know that we were going live. If you want to get on the text list, please text the word Boyce to 31996. Just type my name in, Boyce, at 31996, and you will get a text notification. Also, don't forget that we're on iTunes now. So if you're driving down the road or you have your iTunes on your phone, you can actually listen to the podcast on iTunes. Now, let's jump into the conversation. I mentioned to you guys yesterday on Dr. Boyce TV, some of you who came through, you saw that I had Dr. Claude Anderson in the house. And Dr. Anderson and I talked briefly, or for a few minutes. We talked for an hour, but one topic we hit for just a few minutes, not as long as I wanted to, is the issue of this study that says black wealth is expected to disappear in the next, I guess, 30 years or so. That basically, let me make sure I do the math right. Maybe it's 25 years. I don't know, something like that. The next 25 years, black wealth is expected to disappear. There was an institute, and let me make sure I give them credit for their Prosperity Now and the Institute for Policy Studies, that basically talked about how black wealth is dropping in America and how black people are losing our wealth, how we're actually going backward when many of us thought we were going forward. And so effectively, we've kind of become the little confused kid in the race. It reminds me of an NFL football game where I saw this guy who played for the Minnesota Vikings back in the day, back when the Vikings had one of the strongest defenses in the NFL. They were called the Purple People Eaters. That's how good they were. And this brother, he laid a hit on somebody that was something terrible. And when he hit the guy, he's pow, and the quarterback like hits the ground and the ball flops up in the air. And this defensive back or defensive tackle runs up and he grabs the ball and he picks up the ball and he starts sprinting down the field, right? And he's sprinting down the field because he's about to score a touchdown. He's going 100 miles an hour. And he gets in the end zone and he starts celebrating. And when he starts celebrating, now in football, most of the time when you get in the end zone and you start celebrating, your teammates run up to you. You know what I'm talking about? How the teammates all run up and they all pose or whatever, right? So he's looking around waiting for his teammates to run up and congratulate him, but his teammates don't come to him. The first person that came to him was from the other team. And I'm sure he was confused, right? He was thrown off. Well, the reason the other guy from the other team ran up to him was to tell him, bro, you ran in the wrong direction. You ran into our end zone and you were supposed to go to your own end zone, right? And when you look at the video, you can see where the guy, when he grabs the ball and he starts taking off, everybody on his team is like, stop, come back. Like, don't stop it, man. What are you doing? And he ran all the way to the end zone. And to this day, that play is listed as the most embarrassing play in NFL history. That is literally considered the dumbest play, the worst play ever in the history of the NFL. Now, to his defense, maybe, a lot of the players, to be honest with you, a lot of the players have brain damage. That's real. And, when you see NFL players leave the league and get into trouble or get into domestic violence or whatever, you can't underestimate the impact of significant brain damage, steroid use, as well as other types of drugs that they take just to be able to get on the field. But it is what it is. But the point here is to say that when I look at Black people and wealth, and I look at how we measure success, how we measure progress, sometimes we end up looking like that guy from the Minnesota Vikings who was running 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction, who was running toward the wrong end zone, who thought he was scoring points for his team, but actually he was scoring points for the other team. He thought that he was doing something great, when really he was doing something that he was going to come to regret, right? So with Black people and Black wealth, that's exactly where we are. We are a group of people who every year we have Martin Luther King Day dinners and we celebrate all the progress that we've made. We talk about all the roads we've crossed and everything that we've accomplished. When you lift every voice and sing, and you sing about how far you've come and how much you've overcome and everything else, right? And we talk all the time about how things are so much better today than they were back during segregation. Right? We talk all the time about how much progress we've made, how we have run, into the end zone and scored touchdowns. And when people are able to analyze the game, when you have analysts that look at the game, I look at the economic game, because books like Powernomics explain to you that economics is a competitive sport. When I'm analyzing the game, like me and Dr. Claude Anderson, we're kind of like what Dick Vitale and what's that guy's name that used to talk to Muhammad Ali all the time? I am Howard Cosell, right? So I'm Dick Vitale, and I'm like, Dickie V, baby, right? And Dr. Anderson is like, I am Howard Cosell, and we're watching the game. We're analyzing the game. We're commentating on the game because we understand economics is a competitive team sport. And as we're analyzing the game, we're like, wait a minute. This is not going the way people thought it was. This is not, you think you're winning, but you're not really winning. You're actually losing. You think you're scoring points for your team, but you're actually giving points away to the opposition. You think that your money that you're making is making your community better, when actually it's making your community weaker. You think that you're strengthening your own economic condition because you brag every year. We brag in magazines, they brag about Black spending power and how much power there is in spending, when people like Dr. Anderson and I are like, no, that's not power. There is no power in spending. There is no power in spending. That's like, spending. The term spending power is like teaching a little girl that, we want you to have hoe power. There's power in being a hoe. We want you to be the biggest hoe you could be, giving up to every boy in the neighborhood, and start early, listen to some Cardi B songs so you learn how to drop it like it's hot at the age of 9. And we want you to have hoe power. Well, there ain't no power in being a hoe, right? Somebody would come along and say, no, don't do this to this little girl. There ain't no power in hoeing, right? Well, Black people, there is no power in being a spender, because being heavy spenders makes us into economic hoes. It makes us into people that are used. It makes us into people that are giving the very best of ourselves away, giving ourselves up cheap, letting people set up businesses in our communities and take money from us and give nothing back. Every year, Black Friday, going out and spending like crazy so that we can have a big screen TV. the feeling that we should spend our lives going to work for white people after we've spent 4 years at a white university, going $100,000 in debt, paying about $200,000 for a degree from these institutions, which is a big part of the reason why Black wealth is going backward. Right? You're giving away all of your family's wealth as well as wealth for the next generation so that you can get this 4-year degree that's going to help you get a $40,000, $50,000 a year job. I'm not saying that it's all stupid. I'm not saying that something's wrong with you. I'm saying that something's wrong with us because we've been trained by the wrong people to think in the wrong way. Now, I want to say hi again. I saw Amira Hawker in there. Amira Hawker Young. She is a brilliant, best singer I ever heard, girl. That girl can sing. And I saw you, Amira. Shay and Wanda and Aaron and William Rogers and Brian Thompson and everybody else. And it Talk Black to me. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Let me know if you get this. Let me know if I'm talking crazy or if this is making any sense to you. Here's the thing, and hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube, especially because that's going to make people come into the conversation. If you're on Facebook, if you want to help out, please comment, share, like. Activity, hit the heart buttons, whatever it is you want to do. Activity brings people into the conversation. So please give me some action. Don't just watch, like actually be active in participating in the conversation. And every now and then I'll stop and I'll look at the comments. Sometimes I don't, because I don't want to lose my train of thought. So no disrespect if I don't acknowledge everything all the time right away, but I do see you and I do love you. And I want to say thank you to the sister Teresa, who just gave $10 to the platform. Thank you for your donation. The money will be put back into the community. And as Vicki Dillard says, may it be returned to you 100-fold or 20-fold or 50-fold or a million-fold. How about that? Why don't we just do that? So here's what, let me break down some of this information for you about this Black wealth crisis. Basically, this report by Prosperity Now and the Institute for Policy Studies is saying that by 2020, Black and Latino households will lose 18 to 12% of their wealth relative to 2013, whereas white household wealth will have gone up by about 3%. They also said that despite the fact that the U.S. is going to be a majority-minority country, meaning that, I guess Black and Hispanic people will outnumber white people, it'll be mostly Hispanic people, in terms of people they're letting in from other countries. And that's a debatable issue as to whether or not that actually helps Black people, because last time I checked, there aren't a lot of Latino people lining up to help the Black community. I'm talking people that came in from Mexico and all that. I don't see immigrants really stepping up and speaking up on reparations or the things that Black people are going to really need. But then again, that's up to you to decide how you feel about that. Now, here's what's interesting. So in the article, they talk about discriminatory housing policies, which makes sense. They cite it as an upside down tax system that helps the wealthiest households get wealthier. And also they mentioned mass incarceration, which is huge, right? But when Bill Clinton and Hillary labeled you as super predators, this is why the R. Kelly stuff makes me mad at what Oprah and Gayle are doing to the image of the Black man in America. It makes me mad because that's where mass incarceration comes from. Mass incarceration it isn't invoked on people that are loved and respected and cherished by society. Mass incarceration is invoked on people that are considered to be rodents of society. They're considered to be leeches in society. They won't have a mass incarceration program against white women because everything that is portrayed about the white woman in media tends to be very positive, very loving, very supportive. Whereas for the Black male, it tends to be an image of him as a destructive, over-sexualized predator that's going to harm everybody that they see. So Bill and Hillary Clinton using the label super predator, when they labeled Black men as super predators, right after a few years after the whole Willie Horton situation, where they put the image of a Black man on national TV to scare white America and talked about all the crazy, horrible things this man did. Basically, that mass incarceration epidemic had real economic consequences on the Black community to the tune of probably about $1 trillion or more, maybe probably 2 or 3 trillion. Anyway, so basically we lost trillions of dollars in wealth because the studies show that when families are together, you tend to have more wealth building than when families are apart. The evidence is pretty clear. Let me give an example. Let's say you a brother who doesn't have a family, doesn't stick with one woman with some kids, etc. You have 5 babies mamas, and you got to make child support payments to all 5 of those women. Well, you're going to suffer, and the kids are going to suffer. right? You're going to suffer because they're going to eat up so much of your check that you have nothing left, right? Tell me if you know somebody in that category. Raise your hand. Say I do. I know some. My cousin, my brother, my uncle Louis, right? That child support is a mother. That child support eats through everything, right? And then on the flip side, the mother's suffering too, because the median net worth of a black single woman in America is $5. I don't know if y'all know that. For white women, it's like 43,000 or something. For black women, it's $5. That's the median net worth of the average black or the median black woman in America. Single black mother in America is $5. And so ultimately, when families are broken up, wealth opportunities are broken up. That's why, for example, my friends from Africa, most of my African friends, not the stereotype, but most of my African friends really value family. And I believe that the reason they value family is because they know family is a survival mechanism, that if you have strong family, then your family becomes an institution. It becomes a social institution. It becomes a psychological rock for people that they can go back to. It becomes an economic institution because you do business together and you build things together, meaning that you start businesses and all kinds of other stuff together, right? And so ultimately, the family, when they broke up the families, that was one of the huge steps that they took to literally obliterate black wealth. So Bill Clinton owes us about $2 trillion. So we'll be expecting payment at any moment. I'm going to call up Bill's house and be a bill collector on Bill. Isn't that funny? That's a pun intended. And I'm going to tell him to repay us that $2 trillion that he owes us. Thank you, Jana Matthews, for your support. I appreciate it. I'm gonna make you a moderator, girl. You just look like I can trust you. So you are now a moderator on the Boyce Watkins YouTube channel. Okay, so let me keep going. They also say in this study that the middle class didn't just happen by market forces, and the whiteness of the middle class didn't just happen by market forces. Both were intentional, said Derek Asante Muhammad, a senior fellow at Prosperity Now and one of the report's authors. And so as I'm reading through the article, one of the things that I've seen is that there are lots of smart people out here who have seen this study. There are lots of smart people out here, good people, who are citing the study's results and implications. Everybody, across the board, from Yvette Carnell to Umar Johnson, et cetera, it has pretty much talked about this, and I think it's good. I'm glad that they're talking about this, and these are all brilliant individuals. What I have noticed is that there is a disparity in the way we perceive the problem, right? It's like a bunch of people surrounding a sick person, and everybody looking at the sick person and saying, "Oh my God, he's dying. What are we going to do?" Right? So you've got some people who look at that sick person and say, "Oh, he needs a massage," right? Somebody else might say, "Oh, we need to pray for him," right? And then somebody else might say, "No, he needs some cough syrup," and then somebody else might say, "No, he needs surgery," right? And so at the end of the day, the question becomes, as we're looking at this sick patient is black wealth. Black wealth imagine black wealth as a dying patient in the hospital, and he's on a respirator and breathing through a tube and unconscious and barely holding on, and you shake his hand, he can squeeze your finger, but he can't do much of anything else. And you're trying to figure out how to make this patient better. Well, the big problem you have is that many of the doctors that are analyzing and diagnosing this patient called black wealth, which is on his deathbed, which is about to be put in hospice because everybody believes he's going to die, is that most of the doctors diagnosing this patient are clearly unqualified to do the diagnosis. Most of these doctors that are looking at this patient don't care about the patient's health. They don't care if the patient gets better. Maybe they care about how much money they can get out of the patient before he dies, right? A lot of the doctors that are diagnosing the patient are prescribing remedies that have been applied in the past but never ever worked. So for example, if you listen to maybe talking heads on CNN or MSNBC, they're going to come in and they're going to say, the reason the wealth gap is growing is because black people need more jobs, right? And that's fine But the problem with that is that we've been working for white folks for 400 years and it hasn't helped us move forward an inch, right? They're working for white people, more of us getting opportunities to work for white people, and white people can't hire us all. They can't hire all of us. That was the big debate after slavery. After slavery, the reason black people were getting lynched in New York City, not just in the South, they were getting lynched as far north as New York City, is because they were like, we don't want these Negroes around here competing for our jobs. They're going to come in, they're going to take what we got. Economics is a team sport, it's a competitive sport, and you bringing in more competition. You know, they were treating us, you know, they were looking at us kind of like the way some people might see, might look at immigration. They say, well, wait a minute, if we let in 10 million illegal immigrants and another 10 million legal immigrants, then that's going to zap up a lot of the resources. And to some extent, they're absolutely correct that black people getting more jobs working for white people is going to spread out the assets that white people have. And a lot of white folks are like, hell no, we ain't sharing. You know, a lot of Asian people are like, hell no, we'll come to your neighborhood and build a store and take your money, but we don't want you coming into our community. We won't allow you to come into our community. You know, we'll go build a hair shop, a hair salon in the black community and a nail shop next to it, because them Negroes will give us money all day long. But if we see your black ass building anything in our neighborhood, we're not only gonna run you out of business, but we're gonna burn your shit down. We might take you in the alley and kick you in the ass because you ain't supposed to be here. What are you doing here, boy? Right? So ultimately, the competition of economics, it undermines this false idea of a kumbaya world where the wealth gap will be exonerated or not exonerated, but alleviated by us working for white people. Us working for white people only adds to the deficit, right? Another thing that an integrationist or extreme integrationist, that's what I call it, because I do believe in some degree of integration, but I believe in cooperation. I believe in partnership, right? But in aggregation, as Dr. Anderson talks about aggregation. But another thing that they might say is well, we need more black people going to college. My God, if we have more black people going to college, then we can solve the wealth gap because black people will have college degrees and they can get better jobs and more opportunities, and the white people they work for will pay them more money. Well, the problem with that argument, that logic, is that you know, we've been going to college. Black folks have been getting educated for a very long time. We are super highly, the black woman is actually the most educated person in America. Did y'all know that? Black women have two interesting distinctions among, besides being the sexiest people on the planet. Two distinctions black women have. One, they are more educated than any other group in America, any other ethnic group in this country. They are more educated, African-American women. Two, they are the most religious group of people in America. Not that has anything to do with the first thing, but it's just a little fact that I throw out at you. Black women are the most religious and they are the most educated, because so the thing is, you know, we have to ask ourselves, going to college and going $80,000 in debt, what has that done for us? Well, fortunately, we have data out there that shows us what this has done. The price of college has gotten out of control. It's insanely high. It's not, you know, I'm a college professor. I've been a college professor for 20 something years. Y'all know this. And there was a time where you could go to college and you could get a couple of jobs and pay your tuition with the money you made by working your two jobs. That's not possible anymore. Now, paying for college has become, it's almost like the cost of healthcare. There's two things you can't afford to do on your own in America. One is to pay for your education. The other one is to get sick. If you get sick, you get a surgery. They charge you $80,000, $100,000 for the surgery, where you're in debt for life, right? That's why health insurance and all that is very important. And so effectively, when you look at the measuring sticks, what you're finding is that going to college has not been an economic benefit for black people. It does not mean we shouldn't go to college. It does not mean that knowledge isn't relevant. It just means you got to be real careful when you're messing with the whole college experience. It's almost like if somebody goes out, if a man goes out and says, I want to have sex and I want to go make some babies, and he goes to a strip club and has sex with all the strippers in the club, and then he goes to the back alley and he starts sleeping with prostitutes with no condom, well, that's not going to work out well for him, right? He's going to have, he might get the kids that he wants, but he's going to have a lot of interesting people in his life, and he's probably going to catch some STDs in the process, right? So let's say that the man does all that, and then he comes back and says, I tried having sex. It was terrible. It didn't work out for me. You should never have sex, because having sex will mean that you automatically are going to get a bunch of STDs and it's going to be terrible. Well, no, what you might say to him is like, look, sex is fine. Sex is great. Everybody loves sex. But the problem is you were doing it the wrong way in the wrong context with the wrong people. Right. So the same, so, you know, they said, so somebody could say to him, look, if you had found a good woman and had sex with her, it would have still been pleasurable, but you would have had the outcomes that are more productive for your long-term future, right? Well, the same thing is true when it comes to knowledge in college, right? Knowledge and college are not the same thing. College can give you knowledge, but sometimes college doesn't give you knowledge. Sometimes college is just a place you go and you spend 4 years and you give up a bunch of money, you don't grow. Knowledge is important, and knowledge is actually low cost or even free. There's plenty of places you can get tons of knowledge that matches what you learn in college that won't cost you a lot of money, because you have access to the internet, you have access to online teaching, online learning. I left a university because I wanted to teach online so I could teach my people. I didn't really want to teach a bunch of white kids at Syracuse because, you know, who are going to go to Wall Street, who are rich already. I wanted to go to my community, right, and talk to my people, right? The other thing is that college can be done, but it has to be done in a way where you minimize the cost. You know, you can't go out here and go 80,000 in debt thinking that still means college is automatically a good decision for you. There are many situations where going to college can be the worst thing that ever happened to you, because you're sitting on all this debt and you're broke for life. Sorry, I'm choking. Half of all Black college graduates have defaulted on their student loans. Half of all Black people who graduated from college can't pay their student loans. So what that means is that if you think about college as an investment, investments happen with debt all the time. There's nothing wrong with borrowing money to make an investment. Companies do it a lot. But how do you know the difference between a good investment and a bad investment? The main difference is, well, did you make more money than you spent? If you borrowed $1 million and you make 10 million, then that was a good move. Congratulations. But if you borrowed $1 million and you made 50 grand, that's not a good move. So in college, what happens is you have people that will borrow 80 grand and then have a job that they might pay them 40, 50, 60,000, right? That's fine. The problem is that after you finish paying all your bills and living your life, then that student loan bill comes in and you can't handle that, right? Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Tell me if you know anybody who is struggling with student loans. Tell me if you have been hit with student loans. Tell me if you could go back in time and trade your degree in and be debt free, like give your degree back and actually be debt free. Would you take that trade? Would you go back to the university and say, here, I didn't get, you know, with this product, I did not get what I was looking for. So here, take this degree back and we're going to wipe away all the debt and we're going to be even, right? Now, colleges don't let you do that, but tell me you wouldn't take a deal like that. A lot of people would. A lot of people would. So here's the thing about this whole situation with median wealth levels dropping to zero by 2053. Before I move on, do me a favor. If you're on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, you know, hearts and likes and shares. Please share the video, stuff like that. Also, just a reminder, we are on iTunes. So if you have iTunes, make sure you download iTunes. And if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to drboycewatkins.net. Somebody please type that in. Go to drboycewatkins.net. So let me dig a little deeper into this. So here's the thing. Okay, so when you look at this whole projection of, you know, wealth dropping to zero by 2053, as a researcher, as a person who's written a lot of academic research papers, I pretty much in my mind have some guesstimate of how these conclusions might have been, how they might have come to these conclusions. What they're probably doing, or something similar to this, I'm not going to speak for the guys who did this study, or the ladies, or the team. I don't know who's on the team, but I'm going to speculate that what they might have done is looked at a trend over a certain amount of time. Maybe it was 5 years, maybe it was 20 years, maybe it was 10, and said, based on this trend over the last X number of years, what happens if we keep going in the same direction at the same rate, right? Okay, wealth dropped, by, I don't know, by 5,000 over the last 10 years. So let's assume that every 10 years it drops by 5,000. Where's it going to get to, right? So that, maybe doing a linear, like straight line projection, like a car is going east at 20 miles an hour. So you assume if it keeps going east and it keeps going 20 miles an hour, it's going to run into the wall at 8 o'clock tonight, right? So that is, that's fair. And that's fine. But what it does is it's also making the assumption that your behavior is never going to change, right? Like if I look at a car and I predict that the car, if it keeps going the same speed in the same direction, it's going to hit the wall at 8 o'clock, then what I'm really kind of doing is I'm assuming that the car will never change direction, and I'm assuming the car will never change its speed, right? And those are heavy assumptions, right? I'm assuming that the car, instead of going east, it can never go west or north or south, and also that it will never slow down, it'll never speed up, or it'll never go backward. Now those are heavy assumptions, right? Because a car can do a lot of things. A car can go in circles, it can go that way, that way, that way. It can go really fast and go really slow, right? So a lot of conditions are going to shift between now and the time that my car hits that wall, right? And so the same thing is true with Black people and what we do with our money. Sure, if you look at the way Black people spend our money now and what we do with our money now, it's absolutely an abomination. It's really something where we must look at ourselves and accept the fact that we are some of the greatest benefactors of white supremacy in the history of this country. We are some of the greatest contributors to oppressive systems in America. And what do I mean by that? Well, because white supremacy needs money, just like any other sort of organization or group or system, right? And we pump about $1 trillion a year into white supremacist systems by giving them all of our excess spending cash and our labor. We give our labor and our money to these systems, right? When you go spend money with these big corporations that you feel hate you, you're supporting them. You're allowing them to hate you more. You're allowing them to destroy you more effectively by giving them money, right? And so, or when you go to a big white university because you're looking for white people to validate you, and you go and you give up all of your family wealth, you commit yourself to a lifetime of debt and perhaps poverty and destitution in order to get into this big white university, you are funding white supremacy, because now these big racist universities like UCLA is an incredibly racist school. You're funding them in their ability to continue their racism and to continue to oppress you, right? So ultimately, I think that those of us who are smart about it, and I'm talking about the people that are listening right now, because you're here for a reason. You're not like everybody else, right? Everybody else is off, maybe they're watching some rapper's video, or maybe they're looking at, Instagram clips from some comedian or whatever. Nobody wants to sit around and talk about intellectual topics and how we can build Black wealth and stuff like that, right? It's not the cool thing to do. I'm such a nerd, and I'm proud to be a nerd. I'm glad I don't fit in. I'm glad I don't fit into Black culture all the time, because some of our culture is fucked up. We know this. Some of our culture is ridiculous. Some of our culture is stupid. It's not our fault. We're brainwashed to be that way. The media and education systems are designed to keep Black men as stupid little boys. It's designed to keep Black people distracted. It's designed to keep us behind the 8 ball. It's designed to keep us ignorant. We know this, right? So the reason that we're having this conversation is not because we are the majority. We are not the majority. We are the minority. And so what I'm saying to the minority, which I consider to be the talented 10th, the leaders, the smart people, is to understand this game and how you can make sure that first and foremost, you and your family are not negatively affected by these trends, right? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna drink some water because I am so I am coughing. Hold on. Okay. All right. Hit the thumbs up button while I unchoke myself. All right. Okay, so the first reason why it's important, oh God, I don't know why I'm coughing so much today. Sorry, guys. This is not, let's see, somebody said, problem, drink the water. I know, right? I need to drink the water. The reason it's important that you, oh, you know what? I think I might have to stop a little early today. Hold on. Oh, I was doing okay for a little while. Oh, I'm running a half marathon this weekend, and so I hope that I'm not catching a cold or something. Let me open that door and let some air in. All right. Sorry, guys. Take some meds. I know, right? Oh, get a mint or some warm tea. All that cold water. What's wrong with the cold water? I hope it's not bad. Anyway, let me keep going. I'm not going to stop because I got to share this. So I'll find we'll work our way through this. So I apologize for that. But the reason that it's important that you actually embrace the fact that you're different, that you think differently, is because you are on the right path. You know, the data pretty much clearly shows that the majority of our community is on the wrong path. The data shows it. I mean, it's clear, right? It's clear that if Black people continue doing what we've been doing, we're going to end up broke. We're going to end up with a median net worth of zero. Now, let me tell you about the median net worth. Let me remind you of the fundamentals of statistics, right? The fundamentals of statistics are this. When you say that the median net worth is zero, what that means is that exactly half of the population is above zero and exactly half of the population is below zero. It does not mean everybody's at zero. Like I saw in the Breakfast Club, I think that they used the title on the video where they said Black wealth will drop to zero by 2053. I understand what people are saying with that, but no, that's not true. Black wealth dropping to zero means that no Black person has any wealth in 2053, which we know is not true. Median Black wealth will drop to zero. So that means half of the community will have wealth. Some parts of the community are going to have a lot of wealth. Like those of you right now in your families who are investing consistently in the stock market, by 2053, your families will be wealthy. If you're doing, I've told you guys, I laid out, it's actually, the book is on Amazon if you want to go look at it, but it's a basic idea. I break down what I call the $5 a day investment plan. Basically, what 2053 is what, 24 years from now, a person that invests just $5 a day would have 6 figures in wealth or more, within the next 24 years. Like, even no matter how poor you are, like if you had a parent or a grandparent who simply put $5 a day in the stock market for you, which a lot of Black folks, we put $0 a day in, which is why many people's wealth does not move. But if that person is simply put in tiny amounts, about $5 a day or a little bit less, a little bit more, since say 1982 or 83, your family, you'd have a ton of money. You'd have hundreds of thousands of dollars available. So this idea that starting poor means you have to stay poor is bullshit. It's just not true. What it means is that you allow where you are to determine where you're trying to go. So it's almost like somebody who doesn't. I used to have a friend in school who used to tell me all day, all the time. She would spend all this time telling me how bad she is at math. I'm really bad at math. I'm really bad at math. And I remember one day telling her, I said, if you took all that time you spend telling me how bad you are at math and actually spent that time studying math, you wouldn't be bad at math anymore. Or somebody who says, I don't know how to read. And for 20 years, they don't know how to read. Well, what if they had spent that 20 years reading, learning how to read? Well, they'd be a great reader by now. You see, so people don't understand wealth is not just a team sport. It's a long-term game, and it's a dynamic game. It's something that is constantly changing, constantly ebbing and flowing. It's like snow. Snow is an accumulation process. In the morning, there may be no snow on the ground, but if the weatherman says that there's going to be 7 inches of snow coming down, by tonight, you know that just because there's no snow on the ground now, that does not mean that there won't be snow on the ground later on tonight. Why? Well, because every little snowflake, trillions of them, will come to the ground and eventually form an accumulation that will lead to there being several inches of snow on the ground. And so wealth is the same way. The question with wealth is not so much where are you now? The bigger question of wealth is, are you accumulating something? What is your accumulation process? Because if I tell you that there's going to be 7 inches of snow on the ground by, by 8 o'clock tonight, well, the accumulation process needs to start well in advance. But if it's 7:58 and you've accumulated nothing, like not one snowflake has hit the ground, then there's no way you're going to have 7 inches of snow on the ground by 8 o'clock that night. So for a lot of people, when they talk about black wealth and they talk about how broke we are, or we talk about how stuck we are, etc., my question is, well, what are you accumulating? What are you doing? Like, what exactly are you doing specifically to accumulate wealth? What do you have something where $10 a week is coming out of your bank account on autopilot and being invested in the stock market? Well, if that's the case, that's a good start. That means your kids, your grandkids are going to have a little something, not a ton of money, but a little bit, right? If you're doing $5 a day, the amount of money that it costs to go to McDonald's, you can't even get a value meal for $5, right? If you're doing $5 a day, which is $150 a month, and you're doing that consistently, and you do that consistently for 30 years, well, you might be poor today, but you're not going to stay poor forever. So it's like snow coming down. If you see snow coming down, even if there's no snow on the ground, you know that there's no snow on the ground right now, but it's not going to be like that forever. Why? Well, because the accumulation process has begun. And you know that after so much time has passed with the accumulation process, you're going to eventually have a few inches of snow. So for many people that I see out here, I don't look at you based on where you're at. I don't look at you based on what you got. I don't look at you based on where you came from or where you started at. I'm looking at your accumulation process. I look at young people and I say, well, he ain't doing much now, but based on his accumulation process, he's going to be very, very successful. Or I'll look at somebody else and be like, yeah, they're on top now, but based on their actions and behavior and their accumulation process, they're not going to be doing very well for very long. Like you look at, for example, the rapper Future. Future is on top of the world. He's doing great. He's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of women. He's really, really happy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at him, I'm like, yeah, but this guy makes a baby mama every week. This guy is spending money like it's going out of style. This guy is a drug addict. This guy's making one bad decision after another. He's doing well now, but based on the rate at which he's going, based on his accumulation process, he's not going to be doing very well 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So for Black people, what you really got to kind of look at in general when it comes to wealth in this whole study, and I'm talking about your family, I'm not talking about the whole community. I can't save the whole Black community. There's 40 million Black people, and a bunch of them are probably pissed off because I probably said something that hurt their feelings at some point, because you know me, I just say what's on my mind and I tell the truth. But for those of y'all who are smart enough to keep listening, which is a substantial number, we have a lot of people that listen, so I think there's some hope here. I'm just here to tell you that there is another way to analyze this problem, and there's a way to analyze it in such a way that that the solutions are right in front of you. When it comes to wealth, one of the models that we talk about consistently is KEG, keep, earn, and grow. When it comes to wealth, you got to think about how much of your money are you keeping, how much money are you earning, and how are you growing your money. Keeping your money means, are you a spender or a saver? Black folks are trained to be spenders. We don't keep our money, right? Y'all know this. Y'all know that we make it rain. We love to make it rain. And then we love to make rap songs about how we gave all our money away. We celebrate that culture. We celebrate a culture of financial excess and financial irresponsibility. We celebrate that. We brag about that. We let people know we are world leaders at doing this. That's what we do well. Right? Well, if that's what you do, if that's your culture, remember, economic building, wealth building, all that is culture. All that is culture. Why do you think the Jews have so much wealth and so much power, despite the fact that they're a small percentage of the population? Because it is in their culture to preserve their wealth. It is in their culture to build their economic power. It is in their culture to work together and build businesses and organizations and institutions and everything else. That is who they are, right? So for Black people, what is in your culture? What is in your culture? Do you have a culture of business development? Or do you have a culture of chasing jobs, running up behind white people, begging them for jobs? Tell me, somebody talk Black to me today, please. I see Vicky Dillard in here. How you doing, Vicky? And I see Dual Victory and all these other wonderful people. Chubby Curls, good to see you, sister. Tell me, what is our culture? Is our culture one where our children at the age of 6 are being told how to manage a portfolio and what it means to invest or what it means to buy a house? Or do we have a culture where we got kids on the internet that can twerk at the age of 5, right? And we think that's great. Or or can dribble basketballs and between their legs and oh, he's gonna be a superstar. He's the next LeBron. No, he's fucking not. Excuse my French. He is not the goddamn next LeBron, because to be the next LeBron is about a 1 in 50 million chance. So no, he's not the next LeBron. He's more likely to be the next dude who dedicates everything to trying to get into the NBA and don't make it. Because chances are he's probably not even going to grow tall enough to be the next LeBron. Do you know the odds of growing up to be 6'8" anyway? Do you know how rare that is? How many people do you know that are 6'8" or taller? If a man walks in the building and he's 6'8", everybody looks, because that's such a rare thing to see. The average height of a male is not 6'8" inches tall. The average height of a male is about what, 5'9", 5'10"? Seriously. So stop it. Let's keep going. Keep, earn, grow. Do you keep your wealth or do you spend it? Earn. How do you earn your money? You know, wealth is an accumulation process. It's like driving down a highway. It's like basically the people that have the most wealth are like the people that are in their car and they've driven the furthest distance. They've gone further than other people. So the further you want to go, the faster you want to go, the better car you want to have. If you have a fast car, then you can go a long way really fast. If you have a slow car, then you may never get there. It was going to take you forever to get there. Well, when it comes to earning money, there are some people who know how to earn money the fast way. Some people who know how to earn money the slow way. The people that earn money the slow way are the ones who are one-trick ponies, who are only trained to fill out a job application and hope that their boss will pay them enough money to help them accumulate something. Those who earn money the fast way are the ones who think in terms of systems, who say, yeah, I could work 40 hours a week at $40 an hour and make $1,600 a week, or I could have a $40 product, sell 1,000 units a week and make $40,000 a week. I think I'm going to try to learn how to do that instead of learning how to do this. My mama and my daddy, all they taught me how to do was the first thing. All they taught me how to do was work for somebody and give a lot of hours and give hours of my life away that I'll never get back, give away hours, weeks, days, years of my life in exchange for money. But instead, I'd rather work through a system, because a system takes out the dimension of time. I don't have to give time to sell a product where I'm selling 100 units a day or 1,000 units a week. Time is not a factor anymore. I can make that money and literally be doing something else while the money's being made. So how you earn your money is very important. That's why I tell you guys all the time, every Black child should learn how to start a business by the age of 12, just as a special skill that they can have that will help them in life. 3, grow. Keep, earn, grow. Grow. How does your money grow? Do you have assets that grow in value, or do you buy things like cars that depreciate in value? If you take your money and you go to the mall, well, you know what? That outfit that you bought at the mall, whatever it is, it's going to last you. It's going to be relevant to you for maybe a year or two, and then it's going to have zero value. When you spend money, you're pretty much giving money away, because in 5 years, you won't remember where you spent it. You won't remember what you bought. You won't care, right? Whereas those who think in terms of growth put their money into assets that are actually going to accumulate in value. Like one thing I'm going to show you guys, this past year, I dumped a ton of money into doing our basement. Our basement was not finished. And I said, let's take about 50 grand and let's just redo the basement. My office now is down in the basement. We set it up and I said, spare no expense. Let's just make it rain. I want everything. I want all the nicest stuff that I want, so this can be a perfectly comfortable basement, because we're going to be using it for years, etc. Well, guess what? It also adds value to the house. So now, we got an extra, extra 1,000 or so square feet to the house that will add value to the house when we go to try to sell it. You see, so dumping your money and spending money on things is not bad in itself. It's what you're spending your money on. So those who understand how money grows, they understand things like capital gains. Capital gains are another form of passive income. Passive income pretty much means that you made money because the thing you bought went up in value. So you bought a house, the house went up from 400 to 600,000 in terms of value. So you made 200 grand just because you own the house. The business goes up in value, your stocks go up in value. A lot of wealthy people, that's how they make their money. They make their money because they buy a bunch of stocks. And, so we're spending our money at McDonald's, Burger King, new shoes, whatever. Well, I know people who take that same money and they'll put it into their stocks and they just sit there. The stocks just sit there, and then next thing you know, the portfolio that used to be worth $5,000 is now worth $15,000, and suddenly they got an extra 10 grand. So give me a second here. hold on. I gotta do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button while I send this message to one of the people on my team to let them know I'm gonna be a couple minutes late for the meeting. They said, are we still having the meeting this morning? The answer is yes. And I just hit enter and it's not going through. So please hit the thumbs up button. I'm gonna let them know that I'm going to. Okay. All right. Okay, good. I got it. It's bought me a few more minutes. All right. So keep, earn, grow. One of the things that we teach our kids in our Black Business School for Children, it's called Black Millionaires of Tomorrow, is we teach them to keep their poise. P-O-I-S-E. P-O-I-S-E stands for producer, owner, investor, saver. Producer, owner, investor, saver. The reason that we teach them that is because we want to brainwash them. We have a clear agenda. We definitely have an agenda. Our agenda is to brainwash these kids to want to accumulate wealth in an ethical way that benefits their community. We want them to understand that that's the most important thing in the world that they can do for their family, for the liberation of their people, for the strength of their community. Producer means that you're not just a consumer. The consumer buys things. Black people are brainwashed by media to be consumers. You know, you have idiots like Floyd Mayweather who will get on Instagram and will brag about how he just bought a, $500,000 car or whatever, or he'll brag about how he spent $300,000 on jewelry, and people will be sitting in Instagram like literally like cheering him on, saying, "Oh, that's what's up, bro. Oh, that's so cool, bro." And the thing is, we have to understand the connection between that culture and the fact that Black wealth is going to zero. You can't disconnect the fact that Black wealth is going to zero from the fact that when we do get money, we cheer on those who want to waste that money. I'm not saying that white folks don't play a part in this. I'm not saying racism isn't real. It's all connected to white folks and racism, because white people are the ones who taught you this shit. White people were they're the ones who control the media that tells you that this culture is Black culture. They think about how sick that is, that you have people that hate you the most, literally with enough power to tell you what your culture is gonna be. There are people, if you ask them and you say, what represents Black culture? And you show them like TV shows that white people put on TV, they'll be like, yeah, that's Black culture. Yeah, that's Black culture, right? That's crazy to me, right? So don't think that I'm letting white folks off the hook or saying that racism doesn't exist. I'm saying that racism is real, and the counter to racism means that you must push a different message to our young people so that they know that this culture is not who they're meant to be. So producer, owner, so we tell them you want to be a producer, not just a consumer. Owner, you need to be an owner, not just a renter. How many of you, raise your hand, tell me if you understand this. How many of you literally grew up thinking that renting an apartment was pretty much as good as anything else, as buying a house or whatever? That renting an apartment was something you could just do, and that was it. Like, okay, I got an apartment and that's it. There's no sort of pressure to feel like you have to take the next step. Right? Meaning that, okay, if you want to own a house, you can, but a lot of people just rent, and renting is okay, right? It's like the difference between dating versus getting married. There's some people who say, no, dating is a stopping point or a stepping stone to the final destination. The final destination is marriage. You better put a ring on it, girl, right? Well, how many of us do that? How many of us feel like we have to or we're raised in an environment where we weren't pressured to put a ring on it when it came to where we live, right? That if you just get an apartment and you're paying rent and you pay rent for 30 years, that's okay, right? A lot of us were raised in that environment. I know I was. My parents did actually own their house, but I don't really remember a lot of conversations about why it's so important to to actually become an owner. I don't remember those conversations being had in such a way that there was pressure. Like, not so much just like, okay, yeah, this is something you can do if you should do if you can. If you win the lottery, if you get lucky or you get a bunch of money, yeah, go ahead and buy a house, right? No. There are some families where there's pressure, almost the way a young lady gets pressured. Like, if she's got a boyfriend and he's been dating her for 3 or 4 years, then the older parents will be like, so when are you going to get married? What are your intentions with my daughter, right? That pressure. So I think that having not so much pressure, but having a little more encouragement when it comes to the importance of ownership goes a long way. When you own real estate, you do better than somebody who rents real estate. The renter buys the house for the owner. The owner gets to keep the property. The renter gets to live there for as long as the owner decides that they want them there until they want to evict them, right? And then you talk about business ownership. I mean, my God, owning a business was fascinating to me in terms of the substantial benefits that came with business ownership that I was not aware of. Like a lot of people that are just raised in a laborer culture, Black people have a huge laborer culture. Like I want you to ask yourself, when you were a kid and somebody said, "Oh, I need to get some more money." Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm sending a note to my team. But yeah, so what was I gonna say? Oh, so think about this. How many of you grew up in a family where if somebody says, I need more money, I want to get some money, I want to have my own money to spend, what do you think that their parents are gonna say first? They're gonna say, what? You need to go get a job, right? Oh boy, you better go get you a job, right? Anybody else grow up in a family like that? That's what I heard all the time. But you better go get you a job. I didn't really hear, I wish I'd heard things like, yeah, you could get a job, but it's easier to own money or to make money if you own a business, if you run a business, right? If you get it right. It's not easy, but if you get it right. And then the other thing I remember, my Aunt Margie introduced me to some things that I thought were interesting. She showed me the write-offs. You see, if you want to talk about advantages that rich people have in this economic system that other people don't have, one of the huge advantages that wealthy people get that regular working people do not get is that those who own businesses can write off so much stuff that you can't write off on your taxes if you are an employee. It's unfair. It's absolutely unfair. Should it be changed? Yes, it should be. It's a bunch of BS. Ronald Reagan was behind a lot of this nonsense, right? But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And I don't think that they're going to ever change, or they're going to change these rules anytime soon. I think our Congress is dysfunctional. I don't really think that they have the political will to do the right thing for the American people. So I think it's going to be like this for quite a while. So one of the things that you probably want to tell your kids about, and yourself, and investigate this as well, is that when you can write a lot of things off, it significantly reduces the amount of taxes that you pay. If you are smart and you have a family business and you have relatives that work in the business, well, you can go visit your relatives and write off the trip as long as you're doing business during the trip, right? So if I'm working with my cousin and I want to go see my cousin, I can make it a business trip and I get to write off that trip, which substantially reduces the cost of my tickets. Again, you don't want to evade taxes, but as long as you do everything legally and ethically and above board, like you can save so much money that way. Another benefit that people who own businesses have that workers do not have is that your tax rate is lower. Capital gains, meaning that money that's made from a business or made through just the growth and value of an asset, those taxes are far lower than personal income taxes. So the reason that a lot of billionaires, have their wealth continue to grow is because their tax rates are much lower than regular people. Again, is this right? No, it's not right. But these are facts that you want to understand and share with your family. So you got a choice as a Black person. You got a choice. You can either sit and complain. You can join. You can join up with Bernie Sanders and whoever who will gladly sit with you and have a bitch fest with you about how the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Like you can do that, and that's fine. I would be like, amen. You're right. The rich are getting richer. Fuck the rich people, right? I would join you in that conversation to a point, right? But then there's a point also where I'm gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna just cuss them out. Maybe I can sit with some of these people and figure out what they're doing to get ahead. When you have somebody that is a self-made millionaire, meaning they started from nothing and now they got a lot of money, sure, you can sit back and be jealous and be angry and hate them. Or you could say, well, what did you do? What happened in your family that put you in this economic position that most Black folks are not in? I love to tell the story of a woman I know who actually literally grew up so poor that she didn't have a refrigerator in the house. I mean, they were super poor, growing up. And she went to college because her parents were big on education, and she got her first job. And when she got her first job, the family culture was not one that believed in heavy spending. They taught her to be responsible with her money. When she asked her dad, like what, do I participate in my company's 401k plan or whatever? He said, yeah, you want to max out your 401k. And then he also told her, buy a house as soon as you can. You want to own a house. And so she bought a house and she maxed out her 401k, and she didn't understand the stock market. So by the way, if you're on Instagram, you're going to disappear in a second, but I'm going to bring you guys right back. So what happened was she maxed out her 401k. She bought a house as soon as she could. She didn't understand anything about investing, nothing about starting businesses, none of that stuff. She still doesn't understand this stuff. But the interesting thing was that because she didn't understand stock investing, she didn't hear all the chatter from all the people who were running away from the market during the 2008 market crash. A lot of black folks, John Rogers wrote an article about this, where black people gave away probably $1 trillion in wealth because we all ran away from the stock market when the prices started falling, whereas people like Warren Buffett ran toward the stock market. Warren Buffett went in and he said, my God, America's on sale. So he went and bought up a ton of stuff. And because there's never been a time where the market has crashed where it didn't recover. There's never a time where it's gone down and it didn't come back up, right? Warren Buffett knows these things, but a lot of us don't know these things because a lot of times we manage our money based almost on a type of superstition, where we just think that it's all a Ponzi scheme, it's all going to go to hell, the whole economy is going to fall apart. Yeah, that can happen, but it hasn't happened yet. The last 120, 130 years hasn't happened. People that invested heavily in 1950 were doing very well by 1970, 1980, right? So there's no time in history where that wasn't true. So anyway, she put her money in at the worst time, at the time where all the black people were running away from the market. She was running toward it. She started maxing out because she didn't understand. She just did what her dad told her to do. Well, by the time she was 40, she was a millionaire. She was a millionaire. And the thing about this story that I think is really important and powerful to understand is that this defeats the narrative of those who are consistently trying to tell you that because you're born in a certain situation, you have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. You might choose to stay there. And that's very dangerous language to talk about choice and free will, because people think that you're saying, oh, well, poor people are choosing to be poor. Boyce is anti-poor. Boyce might as well be a Republican, right? That's what they do. They try to label and attack you to shut you up, but they don't have a better solution. They never have a better solution. Pay attention. I want you to listen carefully when people criticize this kind of conversation. They'll criticize all day because they learn one fundamental fact about immature thinking. One fundamental fact is that it's easier to destroy what somebody's doing than it is to do better than what they're doing. It's easier to talk bad about what somebody's trying to do in a solution than it is to come up with a better solution. So these people don't have solutions. Their only solution is to stay poor and keep bitching, right? And wait for white Jesus and Congress to come save you. I'm not waiting for shit. I'm not waiting for nobody. I ain't waiting for nothing. I'm getting my family off of the Titanic. And basically saying, hey, this ship is sinking, and I'm telling everybody that the ship is sinking and we got to get off. This is an ideological ship. I'm talking about ideas, the way we see ourselves, the way we see the world, the way we see money. So I would tell my kids, look, this ship is sinking because this is the type of thinking that they're feeding us. This is what standard black people are being given. This is it's terrible. I wish I could change it, but I can't fix it. But I'm going to tell you to get off that ship, because every single one of these problems that's brought up when it comes to black wealth declining, they're easily solvable. I'm not saying this to you as a regular person. I'm saying this to you as a finance PhD. I'm not saying this to you as an investment advisor. I'm saying this to you as a person who has trained investment advisors. Okay, I'm not saying this to you as somebody with an MBA or whatever. I'm saying this to you as somebody who taught MBA students. I'm telling you that all of these issues are easily fixable, but they're not going to typically be fixed at an aggregate level. Why? Well, because America's not a country that's designed for everybody to do well and for everybody to do rich, or excuse me, to be rich. America's a country that's designed where people who go in one direction do better than people who go in the other direction. And a lot of the differential in terms of which direction you go into is determined, I believe, by your ability to engage in strategic thinking versus your ability to engage only in emotional thinking, right? Emotional thinking is when we fall into the old traps given to Black people to sit and complain and to talk about how bad things are, to keep supporting, these politicians that don't do anything for us, and to keep sort of doing the same economic strategy where we love to go spend our money at Black Friday and Christmas time and on fast food, and the relative who comes to the house. Tell me if you're that person in your family when you come in and you start talking about investing or family economic plan, and they like, shut up, girl, eat your chicken. Like really, like nobody wants to hear it. Everybody thinks that you're lame. Everybody thinks that you need to shut up. Everybody thinks that you're too serious, right? And then those same motherfuckers, excuse my French, I don't mean to cuss, but it makes me mad. Those same damn people who are telling you that you're too lame and you're too serious and you need to get off of this conscious Black stuff and this whole build your own philosophy, that's nonsense. They're the same ones who are going to come up to you at another Sunday dinner and be like, let me tell you how these white folks is treating me on my job. Or they're the same ones calling you on the phone. I need to borrow $700 because the rent's due and we about to get evicted because I need your help. Right? Seriously, like they're the same ones who are complaining because their condition has not shifted, has not changed, right? But I sit back and I have a long memory, and I'll be thinking, well, wait a minute, a year and a half ago, I was trying to really help you. I was really trying to explain some things to you. I had a cousin that came to me begging me for money because I need 2,000 because because he saw me on TV. So when they see you on TV, they think you're rich, and I'm financially where I'm happy financially. I'll just say that. I'm not gonna sit here and I don't want nobody in my pocket, so I'm not even gonna talk about that. But I'm all right. I can handle mines. Let's put it that way. And and he called me and he's like, hey, cuz I need to borrow $2,000, blah blah blah. And I was like, man, I'm not even going to sit here and be like, I told you so, because that's not right. That doesn't help us right now. I said, but I remember having 1,000,001 conversations with you, trying to get you to get up off of this thug culture bullshit. I had 1,000,001 conversations with you for a decade about how a Black man needs to learn how to have his own business because white folk working for white people is not going to work out for you. I had conversations about investing in your education. I had conversations with you about not falling for this damn hip hop culture and the way stupid things people do with their money. But here you come to me, tattoos up and down your arms, gold teeth in your mouth now, you thugged out, you trying to be cool, you trying to fit in with this dumb nigga mentality. And now look at you, looking like a little bitch up here begging me for money. Seriously, like you can't even take care of your damn kids. And I told you, I tried to, and I think was I processed that. I try to not be so mean about it and not be self-righteous, because nobody's perfect. I don't want to make anybody feel bad, but it's very frustrating when you see a train wreck happening in slow motion. You see a train wreck happening in slow motion. You see your community, you see your family members, you see your people slowly driving toward a wall, and you're screaming, you're like, no, stop, turn the car around, don't do it. And they like, shut up, nigga, don't nobody want to listen to you, you always preaching, you need to shut, I don't want to hear, I'm gonna do what I want, blah 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 blah. And then when the crash happens, slow motion crash, they hit the wall, there's a massive explosion, dead bodies everywhere, body parts flying in every direction. They want you to act like you didn't see the explosion coming all along. They want you to react the way they're reacting. Like they react. Black people are very reactionary people. We are not proactive as a culture. We are not proactive. We don't plan for horrible shit that's going to happen. We whine and bitch and moan and pray to white Jesus over shit that just happened. We will be like, because that's what a victim does. We're trained to be victims. We're trained to be weak. So we will whine and cry all day about what just happened. And there'll be some people who are like, I told you. But we don't listen to people like that. We listen to the people that want to embrace ignorance. We listen to the people who are like, oh, shut up. Don't nobody want to hear all that. Turn the liquor up, nigga. Let's go make it rain. Let's go, da, da, da. Right. You know, and so I think that that's it. But so I'm guessing that at the end of the day, there's just different personality types. At the end of the day, there's people that have different levels of skill when it comes to strategic thinking. I congratulate you, because the fact that you're even sitting here hearing me have this prolonged conversation on this topic, the fact that you're even sitting here and listening to this means that you're in that category. And I congratulate you, because you're not going to have the same fate as everybody else. Racism is not equally distributed. Oppression is distributed mostly to the people who are the least aware. So when you are not woke, so to speak, then yeah, that's when you're going to be assaulted, because it's easier to assault somebody who's unconscious, right? So you know, I would just say to you, be proud of who you are, embrace your Black consciousness. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about it, because believe me, at some point they're going to feel very bad about being unconscious, because unconscious people get screwed, literally and figuratively. They literally and figuratively. So anyway, I got to go to this meeting. I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. I apologize for all the cussing. I try not to cuss so much in the morning. It's kind of weird to wake up and just have somebody just cussing on the internet. But anyway, do me a favor. If you're on Instagram, YouTube, or anywhere else, or Facebook, please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button and all that, and share the video and everything, so that other people at least have a choice, at least have an opportunity. What I find is that there's people out there that listen to what people like me say, and then there are people who see me all on the internet and they never listen, right? Or they'll be like, oh, he's this or he's that, or I don't want to hear, and that's okay, right? But I like the idea of at least, I got this from my mama. My mama used to say, when my mama would tell me something, like she'd tell me the importance of education, I'd be like, Mama, shut up. I don't want to hear all that, right? She would just say, look, I'm not trying to make you do nothing. I just want to make sure that you can't go through life saying nobody told you, right? That I just want to make sure you have a choice, right? So that's my goal with Black folks, is I just want to make sure Black folks have a choice. I want everybody, as many people as possible, to know that there is a crazy Black man with a PhD in finance who is breaking all this shit down on the internet to the world for free right now. And you have a choice of hearing some of what he has to say, or you have a choice of ignoring it. And as long as people have a choice, then I've done my job, right? And if what you do with that at that point is up to you, because I do believe in freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of action. Somebody said you like my shirt. We do actually have shirts like this. If you want to go get one, you can go to, if you go to blackunities.com, TEES, blackunities.com. That's where the t-shirts are, precisely. Blackunities, TEES.com. Somebody please type that in. Or also, if you want to get books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth, and some of my books, you can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And if you search on the site, that's where you can also find the financial flashcards for children, financial workbooks we have. We have digital lectures that you can download, just all kinds of stuff. I think you guys will like it. So feel free to go check that out at drboycebooks.com. All right, so I'm out of here, guys. Thank you very much. It was real. I had a great time talking to you. So let me go and apologize to my accountant for being late to the meeting, because we were supposed to talk 30 minutes ago. Talk to you guys later. Have a good day.